Welcome to MacroCode. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. So today we are going to proceed with our Blazor series. But what I want us to do today is actually to display the list of users that we've just added to our application. So when we register users, we are able to save the data to our ASP.NET users table. So as you can see, these are the users. So I want us to display these users on our application. So what I want us to do within the system administration, I want us to add the list of system users. So I'll just come to our app. Then I want us to create a folder for users within our application. So I'll create a folder called users. So I'll call users. Then I'll add a razor component for the list of users. So I'll call these users a list. So I'll call these users list. Then once we do that, we should be able to now have a list of users. So I'll pick a list of some of the details that we added. For example, the academic list. So I'm going to replace it here. Then I'll just modify. So here is add a user. So we'll be able to add a user as well from our application. So once we have that, then we need to change our model. So this is application user. So we'll be using application user, then we'll say user object. Then to add a user, so we should actually get from, I think we've picked the wrong one. So I want us to get from the list of users. So this is the, so this will say users list. Then we'll say this is a system users list. So this is the system users list. Then you can say add new system user. Then for the add new system users, then we'll say loading system users. So these system users, I'm going to have here application user. Then here we'll say all users. So when we initialize, we need to load users. So I'll say load all users. Then here we'll get all the list of users. Then we need to loop. So we'll actually loop through the list of users. So I'll just use this. Then for our users, I want to display the name. I'll just display, let me just have this. Then you can say user. Can call it a user. Then for the user, we will display the full name. So we'll display the full name. So what do we capture? Also, we can display the username. You can also have a user. Then you can have username. Then we can also have a phone number if they have. Then what other can we have? Can have a phone number. Then we can also have a gender. And we can have yes, gender and the last activity date. So I'll just do user, then we say gender. So I'll do gender dot description. Then I'll also do user dot last activity date. I'll just do last activity date. So we are able to tell when was the user active. Then so I'll just get away with this. So I'll get away with this. Then what I need to do here, we will be using user. Then this is user. So before we actually proceed, there is no list. So there is no users list available if there is no list. But now what I want us to do is to create a repository for users. So let's add a class. So we're going to actually add an interface. Then we say user repository. Then for the iUser repository, I want us to just clone what we have for the list of users. Now for this list of users, I want us to say to have all these methods here. Then I'm going to have these as application user. Then here we'll say this is user, this is user, application user, application user, application user, and application user. Then you need to create a service for this. So I want us to create a service. So on our service, I want us to add a service called user repository. So just remove the I. Then if we add that, we should actually implement now the all this. So I'll just copy this. Then I'm going to on our user repository. Remember, it should actually implement our iUser. So we'll do iUser repository. Then this will be user repository. Then this will be now application user. So this is application user and this is application user. Then here we will have users. So here you'll have users. Then we include gender. So we'll include gender. So here you'll just do gender. There we go, using that. Yes, so here we should include gender. Then this is status, so we can actually remove it because this is adding a user. So here we'll say user. Then here I'll also do so I'll actually show you some of the methods that you can use to add users. So let's just pull. So this is a delete. Then this should be string. Then so we'll say users. So this is removing a user. Then you save the changes. Then this is application user. So this is we are getting all the users. So just get users. Then here we include gender. So this should be users. This should be gender. Then I just remove the rest. Then get by an ID. This should be users. Then this should be string. Then that is it. Then we return application user here. Then the same thing here to update a user. Sorry. We can actually update a user. Then this is users. Then you do that. So since we have that, so what other thing are we missing? I think should be okay. Yes, so on our I repository, because we've changed some of the things, we need to go back to our I user repository. And for this string, we need to change this to string and also this to string. So our user ID is actually GUID. That's why we are changing that. So when you come to our service, so the error should have gone. So, but now I want us to introduce something on this. So to manipulate users, I want us to introduce the user manager. So I'll just do private, then read only. So then user manager. Then I'm going to have my application user. Then I do user manager. Then here I'll also do the same user manager. So I'll just do user manager here. Then I do that. So inside the user manager, now I can assign. So I'll just say user manager is equals to user. So this should be user manager. So can do that. Then I can say this dot user manager. There we go. Another thing that we can do is so I want us to also have the user manager Then I can also have role manager. Then this should be application role. Then this will be role manager. So I'll just do that. Then we can also have the same thing here. So I'm going to have my role manager, which we'll be using to manage our roles. Then I can also kind of assign this role manager is equals to role manager. Can also add another one called sign in manager. I'll also have sign in manager, and that is also taking now the application user. Then you can have a sign in manager. I'll just do that. Then I'll also copy this and have it inside my constructor. Then this will be, I can also assign it to now my, so I'll just do this, the role should be sign in, sign in manager. Then I assign that. So to get the list of users, we just use so we just use the get context users, then we include gender. So this should suffice. So what I want us to do now, we need to register this. So I want us to register our user repository on our program.cs. So I'll just come here. Then I'm going to register this, and I say I user repository. Then I'm going to use my repository service here. So that is it. Then for us to use it, we are going to inject it to our imports.razor. So I'm going to have this here, and I can actually say I user repository. Then I can say this is a user service. So that is user service. Then when I come to my Razor page to display the list of users, I can now use my user service to get all the users, and I can look through and assign the users to my list. So once I do that, I should be able to get the list of users. So since we have that, I can now have our page. So to add it to our navigation, let's go to our navigation menu. Then under the system admin, just within the academic years, we can actually have it at the top, and we can call it system users. So for the system users, to navigate, you need to go to users. So I think that is the list, our route to users list, as you can see here. So if we just launch our app, we should be able now to get the list of users from our application. So let's just launch and see if we have all the users list. So if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. Remember to like our videos, comment down below, and we should be good to engage. So let's just see how our app looks like. So from now within our application, we should be able to register users, manage their roles, and even deactivate and activate some of these users. So as we proceed, let's try to complete this application so that we're able to do other things. So hope you guys are liking the video, because you are going each step at a time, and every video is actually giving us a new experience. So I'm going to log into my app. Then within this app, you can see we now, under the system administration, we have the system users that we've just introduced. So if I click system users, you can see it has given us the name. So we need to change our, I think we didn't change our titles at the top. So we should say full name. Then we should say user name. That is the username. Then we should check, we'll say phone number. So that is the user phone number. Then we should also say gender. That is the gender of the user, and you can say last activity, last activity date, last activity, we can just say last activity. Then we have so if we apply these changes, we should be able to see our application updating and reflecting with the new details. So if we just do that, you should see we have the full name, username, phone number, gender, last activity, delete, and active. So these two lists, I want us to change this to something else. So if we have the list of users, what can happen? So the list of users we can edit. So I want us to have these as edit. I want us to have a view. So we'll have here view. So we'll have these to view. This should be view, I mean. Then another one we can have as we can maybe have another one for password. So you can have a password. Then this is to change password. So this will be password. So you can change password from our application. So if we apply the changes, we should have the buttons. So you can see you have the full name, username, last activity, delete. So this should be edit. So just go here and we say edit. Then if we apply the changes again, this should change to edit, view, and password. So you can change the color for this. So let's have it a different color. Say this is a primary. So let's see what is the color if we do primary. So there you go. So you see we now have the edit, view, password. So that is it, guys. So today we were just able to preview the list of users. Then on our next video, we'll enhance this so that we can register users within our application. So comment down below, like the video, and subscribe. See you in our next video. Bye.